Hey everyone, Arbor617 here with another quick tip episode. Today we're going to be looking at how to do flips and how to make your character do both a front flip and a back flip, as well as how to adjust the rig to make this whole process a little bit easier. So after Skywars Mega, I got a lot of comments about, well specifically I did behind the scenes on Skywars Mega, and I talked a little bit about the flipping, and I mentioned how I had this little bone that made flipping easier, and I got a lot of requests for this tutorial. It took me a little while to get this out, but here it finally is. So, when you want to do a flip, the very first thing you might try doing is, okay, let's take the character, we're going to have him like bend down, he's going to jump up, then he's going to like spin around. And his feet are going to come back down, like, okay, cool, I made him jump and he flips and right away you start noticing, okay, this isn't working out. This is how I tried doing flips at one point for Skywars, the original, and right away I was like, okay, even if you get it, rotating correctly, even if you had it spinning the right way, no matter how much time you spend on this, it's just going to look bad. So then it's like, okay, well then what do we do? So let me just clear all these frames real quick, and whatever. Turn off my auto keyframing, grab all the bones, reset everything. So the next thing you'd think of is, okay, maybe let's be a little smart about this. Maybe we can use this thing to have him do some cool flip. But as you see, he's going to just kind of flip through the ground. So my solution to this problem was to create a kind of hula hoop bone around the middle that we can use to spin him a little more easily. So I'll be showing you how to do that. While we have our rig part selected, any part, doesn't really matter which part you have selected, if we hit tab, we can suddenly start seeing all the bones. So, this bone down here is the one that controls like this, this big hula hoop thing. So I wanted to use that one because it looks nice. You can actually, make new bones or whatever. So I took this bone, duplicated it, press the middle mouse when moving up, or just use a blue arrow, pull it upwards to about the middle of his body. So now if I hit tab, you'll see we have a second hula hoop, but right now it doesn't do anything at all, doesn't follow it or anything. So, if we hit tab on this new hula hoop, I might want to scale it down a little bit. Pull it forward because we don't we want it to be a little smaller than the one down below it, so we don't get like confused later on. So what we need to do is start parenting things to this bone. So what you really need, all you really need to parent is pretty much this is the main thing. Just this center. This is the bone that controls the main body. So as long as we take this bone here, let's make sure I got selected. Then shift select our new bone, Control P, and keep offset. So now when I rotate this, you'll see it moves everything. However, we still have a problem with the feet. And that is because the feet are currently in what is called inverse kinematics, or IK. As you see with the feet, we have a location we move, and the feet or the legs automatically bend to that. The arms are currently in FK, forward kinematics, where we rotate bones by bone. In fact, the rig actually has somewhere up here, I'm going to fast forward through this until I find it. So those two sliders here changed it, so now even the hands have IK, so we can actually do it on both. I usually do the arms in FK, but you can make the arms behave like the legs. So now if I do that to the hands, you'll see when I move this around it's even worse. All it does is move the body. So to fix this little issue now, go back into edit mode. Not only are we going to parent this to this, not only are we going to parent this main bone to our new bone, you're also going to want to grab the hand bone down here. This is the little bone that's controlling the IK for the hand. So take that, shift select your little new bone, Control P, keep offset. The other hand, Control P, and then same down below. We're gonna do the feet. Again, I'll get a better view of that. It's the feet bone sticking down. We just basically want the center bone plus whatever IK bones we have. So now that all those are connected to it, you'll notice everything moves at once, which is what we want. Everything moves around. However, now we kind of lost our connection to the bottom thing. We now no longer have a need for this. However, we're still going to want that. The whole idea of this is we want two different points of control. We could have just moved this up to the middle if we wanted to do this, but you'll see why we want to retain both the main controller as well as a central body rotator thing. So now you're going to take the new bone and parent our new bone to the original bone, to the original main one down here. So you get a big web of lines looking everywhere, but what's important now is this now moves everything, it rotates everything, so this is like our main everything mover, and this is our, player flipper bone for doing flips. So now we can actually finally begin doing our little flip. So I'm going to start with a back flip, because I find back flips are a little bit cooler to look at. So let's actually move everything forward a little bit. Turn on auto keyframing, go to the beginning, and let's start them out in just some little pose that's a little more interesting. Also going to go back into this and move these back down. Okay, so we just gave him a little initial pose, and the important thing is before flipping or jumping or anything, you really want there to be some anticipation, as it's called, or in reality, simply, something like squatting down, getting prepared to jump. And don't be scared to overdo this. You really want to go like as far as you can, really down. He's going to get down with all his stuff. Should have gone on to Do Not Disturb. Then you really want to have him, he's going to squat down, and then he's going to jump up. So what I do for the flips is just go like 4 frames maybe, reset this up to here, and then here's where it gets interesting. So he leaps up, starting right when his feet about leave the ground, so maybe about here. We're going to take this main thing, then go to where you think like the end of the flip's going to be, so maybe like around 30, I don't know exactly, we can always move these around, move it over here. So now he bends, jumps, he's going to fly and land here. So now literally all you really need to do, one more thing you need to do before we get started doing the actual flipping is on this bone, if you press N to open up this thing, everything you can rotate can either be rotated in quaternions or all these Euler angles. For this thing, we're going to want this bone to be in XYZ Euler. So take this little hula hoop we made, set it to Euler, and you'll see why in a moment. So, right before he jumps, right here, we're going to set a keyframe, then we're going to go to the end, and we're going to take this, and because he's doing a backflip, we're going to rotate it around -360 degrees. You can type in -360. And the reason we switched it to Euler was if we had it in quaternions, you just see it like spin around and go all weird. So now we have part of the flip. And I find with flips and stuff, you really can't just do everything in just with keyframes. You gotta start using the curve editor down here. So let's start getting into that, and I'll show you how we can use the curve editor to do most of the work rather than actually everything else. So let's expand the body. Let's hide everything except for the Z location. I don't know why it has no keyframes. I don't think it has any keyframes, that's weird. Oh, there, okay, it was displaying weird. So right here we're going to hit I, and do, I think you actually have to click on this Z location here. Hit I, only selected channels. And now we have a new keyframe right in the middle. We're going to bring this up, and just duplicate that one over. So now he goes up, flies, right in the middle. Okay, so we're probably going to raise this up way more. So now he jumps, flips, and lands. So we kind of have something going. So now here's where we need to start making it look better. So if we click on this bone here that we move up, we can see the curve for it. It speeds up, speeds up, speeds up, then it kind of slows down. We're going to want to rotate this so it comes to a sharp point. It comes to a very sharp stop. And right when this stops, we're going to want this to start, and we're going to want this to start sharp as well. So it's going to go, and see how now it kind of carries the speed. The angle of this bone stopping moves into this bone continuing it. So we have to, if we don't make that rotation, we have it like this, you're going to see it's going to go up, it's going to stop and speed back up. It's going to look really weird. So you have to have that kind of thing. Same thing for the end. We're going to want to rotate this back. You can kind of see where we're going here. Then we're going to take this bone, do a keyframe, and then give it go a little, like, 5 frames after, and then pull it back down. And again here we want it to be rotated, or we'll just do break tangent on both of these. Oops, I need to hide all this stuff. Break these tangents. Sorry, you hit V to break the tangent. Go to free. Hit V, free, and there we go. So now we have it. It's gonna go up. Then the little middle things are going to carry it. It's going to land. It seems like it's kind of hovering a little weird. So maybe I'll have this one go forward one more. There we go. So already that's looking decent. So now we have the main important things. This moves up, and as soon as this stops, we have this take over, and this goes up and does a single flip, and then it comes down. As soon as this thing stops sharply here, this thing picks up sharply. And already that actually looks pretty decent. However, there's obviously a lot more to do. Also, it may be a little fast. It seems like he does his actual spin a little fast. So what I might do is go grab all these frames, or sorry, keyframes, move them out a little more, so he spends a little more time in the air. Okay, that actually looked worse. I think I'm going right back to where it started. Let's try it one more time. That's fine. Don't worry about going too fast. Once we change things around, it'll look better. So the next thing I might want to do is right when he jumps, we're going to want this, we want his main body to be kind of straight out now when he's doing the actual jump. All his stuff is going to kind of, stretch out. Then we're right about in the middle. We're going to want this bone to bend back even more, and his head to bend back even more, because he's flipping backwards. So we really want to see, that kind of curving. Maybe want to even curve that even more, exaggerate it. And then after the middle, it actually kind of curves back the other way. And it's important not to line all your keyframes up. As you see how right here I have the chest bend here, but then the head follows like 2 frames behind. You don't want everything lined up, or it's going to look very stiff and weird. So I'm just kind of... Oh, whoops. Yeah, looks like it's... what? Sorry, I messed it up, and I put the keyframe in the wrong spot, so then it messed up this little there we go. So now we're getting a little better. Now we see he bends down, he unfurls, he curves himself back. The main thing that's looking weird now is the feet, and something here looks a little off, but we'll get to that later. It seems like it kind of throws himself down almost. Whatever. So now we're going to go to the feet. Oops. And we want the feet are good up till here, because we want him to stay on the ground. He flies off. At first, just like the rest of the things, he's going to kind of curve behind him, like kind of staying behind. He's going to kind of twist him up a little bit. You might need to rotate these a little bit. And see, the advantage of having the advantage of having this bone control everything is we don't have to deal with rotating these around the entire thing. They'll just automatically move. All we have to do is just kind of position them. We don't have to worry about the rotations of any of this stuff. So maybe here, they're still behind. He jumps, and in order to give him that final spin, these are going to have to fly way forward. And so then here, and there's kind of like 2 middles of this spin. There's a point here where everything's back, and there's a point where he kind of spins his legs forward and kind of whips himself forward, and then here, right before he lands, you just kind of reset the feet almost and kind of space them however you want. and then boosh. That's already like the majority of it. Still seems a little fast right here. It seems like it kind of whips around. I'll grab this one. Yeah, and again, I'm just kind of making sure not all these keyframes line up. You want them to kind of separate a little more. And the last thing is to do the arms. What I do as he raises up, you want the arms to start out. He uses his arms to give himself that initial, jump back. So he kind of pulls his arms up. Oh, whoops! Didn't look like there was a frame here for the arm. So he throws his arms up, spins himself around, and right here, again, everything kind of tucks into a little ball as he kind of uses his momentum. And then here I kind of have his arms usually go out a little bit, like he's kind of getting his balance. And then at the end, his arms kind of go back down, but they're still kind of out to the side, like he just kind of landed. So we're kind of good now. We got jumps up, flips, and lands. It's just a matter of kind of cleaning things up now. I said I'd do a front flip, but I lied. The front flip's about the same. It's just everything rotates the other direction. Literally, it's just imagine this, but his head's facing that way, and his arms are facing that way. There's not really any difference. I might want to bend this a little more here. Don't be scared to exaggerate stuff. Yeah, and usually when he lands, want him to kind of land a little more with this bone kind of forward, and then it kind of slides into its resting position. That looks pretty good for a flip, honestly. Whoa. It's a little slow, and hold on, something. You just gotta keep playing these things back. That seems fine, actually. What you can do is just set the end frame, just let it keep looping. Just play it back. Something still seems a little stiff right around here, and that's just in the curve. Oh, that's probably why there's a little frame here. Oh, here's what also. So see how we broke the tangent to have it go down. We might also want to look at these two tangents. We might also want to take this one, break. Oh, well, that might be part of the issue. Huh. Just looking around. Maybe we'll break that. It's like it whips down right here. It feels like it moved way more down there. So, oh, this keyframe somehow got moved one forward. There we go. So somehow when I've been scaling the frames apart, it moved that one. There we go. The body moved down one frame sooner than the other things stopped. So now it should look a lot smoother. Ta-da! That looks pretty good. Again, you can some final little cleaning up kind of stuff to make things look a little better. It's just something I'm going to make another tutorial about this eventually, but I'll kind of briefly mention it here. When you have things like a bone, you see how there's a kind of like a row of bones making almost like a little snake kind of thing. You don't want everything to move all at once, like I mentioned before. What you want is the things highest up. In this flip, the first thing that's going to go back is going to be his head. So right here, you want his head to start, his head's going to start going back. Then one frame later, his chest is going to start going back. And then his body is going to start going back here. So you get this kind of staggered feeling. It's kind of hard to describe, but just trust me that having it more go from head to chest rather than all at once, you get more of a kind of bending organic feel. And here again, you really Don't be scared to exaggerate the squat, even if it means like, you know, throwing him into the ground. You really want him to look like he leaps up. You can even push this up a tiny bit more at the beginning, like he really jumps. And there you go. That's a flip. By looking at this flip, you can probably easily figure out how to do the front flip, or even a side flip or tumble. And that's actually another example. Let me pause this for a second. So here's a good example of other things we can do similar to flips using this new bone as well. So here we have a character who tumbles away, and as you see, we did almost the exact same procedure as we would have done with a flip. Let me zoom in on the frames. First we have the main bone here, then the main bone slides across the ground and stops way over here. That's all the main bone does. It just slides him across the scene. Then we take this new little, bone I added, and we take that one and we have it go down in the middle. See how now it's really low down and it's rotating, and then it continues rotating and comes back up. And between those two things, that was enough to then I just kind of angled the feet a little bit, angled his back forward in the middle so it looks like he's rolling across his back, then angled the feet out so it kind of slides to a stop. So you can do cool things like tumbles the same way. And here we'll look at this guy's flip. He does a flip right about here. We'll see a version of a completed flip. He leans down, and you see again how his head goes up first. His head starts going up, then his chest goes up, then his body goes up, then everything spins, and you get this kind of arced feeling. Everything flips over, and he comes to land, and everything. You always want that little bit of extra when he lands. You want everything continues to kind of land a second later and then kind of looks back up. Otherwise, you just have it stiff. You want that really aftershock feeling. In fact, I can even turn off the bones. Okay, it wasn't that layer. It wasn't that layer. It was that layer. There we go. Turn off the bones. We can kind of get a look at just the body. Bends, curves backwards, whips around up, and lands. So, that was about it for this tutorial. Sorry it took me a little while to get this out. Hopefully you learned something about doing flip things. I know it was a heavily requested thing, and if you have any other little requests, let me know. There's obviously a bunch of other ones I've been meaning to get around to, but I've been really busy working on animations, working on other things, rendering stuff, so sorry about that, and see you next episode.